prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet. Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line. Lebanon's Cafe.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSAgency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSAgency.com.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right. Helm Paint. And supply.
A Friday afternoon edition of the program. Corey Johnson back at you. An explosive news story breaking just a few hours ago, a little after 1 o'clock. A federal grand jury down on Tulane and Broad handed down an indictment. Sadly, Drew Brees, it is New Orleans. Kind of a catch-22 on this one, to be honest with you. Do you want public officials being indicted in New Orleans and Louisiana that deserve to be indicted? Of course. We have a major problem with corruption with politicians, inept politicians that are crooked, that are deviant. Of course. But when it happens, it becomes a national story like this one. Mayor Latoya Junket Cantrell was indicted earlier this afternoon. New Orleans Mayor Latoya Cantrell indicted by a federal grand jury just a few hours ago. An 18-count federal indictment, 14 counts of wire fraud, and 1 count each of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, false statements, and conspiracy to obstruct justice. The relationship with former NOPD officer, part of her security team, Officer Jeffrey Vappy, additional charges included in this on top of his original indictment. The two tried to hide the relationship, maximize their time together, but doing it on the city's dime under false pretenses. The feds say they exploited their public positions to develop and implement a scheme to defraud the city of New Orleans and the NOPD. Vappy traveling out of state, out of country, when protection wasn't needed or it wasn't official city business. Both of them lying under oath to the feds and to a grand jury. Personal correspondence via this WhatsApp, a free encrypted cell phone messaging app. 15,000 plus texts between Mayor Junket Cantrell and former NOPD officer Vappy. including a text from their Scotland trip. Quote, where it all started. Some pretty crazy trips that the mayor and Vappy went on. Martha's Vineyard, Los Angeles, Orlando, San Francisco, D.C., Scotland, United Arab Emirates. Many of these on upgraded first-class tickets. Now, this you don't want to say, boy, this is a great day for New Orleans. I know a lot of folks are giddy. They're happy about it. It's actually like a major catch-22. Of course, we all want justice, like I said when I opened up the program. We want public officials that we elect that are supposed to be civic-minded, working for us. We want them held accountable, especially when they're doing corrupt things, stealing from us. Of course, we want them held accountable. But this is a national story. New York Post, New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today, wherever you look, CNN, Fox News, it doesn't matter. Left-leaning, right-leaning, middle of the road. It is a national story. New Orleans mayor indicted. So it sends a message, actually enforces a message that's already out there that New Orleans is a corrupt city politically. Louisiana's a corrupt state. Maybe you should think again about bringing your company down there or investing, opening a facility, a manufacturing plant, whatever it might be. It is a Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Michael Heck will join us in the 5 o'clock Power Hour. We'll find out from Michael exactly what I'm talking about as far as that catch-22. New Orleans attorney Joe Responti will join us sometime over the next 2 hours before 6 p.m. He'll break it down like it's nobody's business. Joe is with Fox 8, so I guarantee you, because of his expertise, because he can, kind of decipher it for laymen like us, the non-lawyer, the non-legal expert, where we can understand it. No, Fox 8's utilizing Joe Responti. We will too. That'll happen before 6 o'clock. Michael Hecht in the 5 o'clock Power Hour. C.J. Murdoch is a local New Orleans attorney. I believe a former prosecutor. We'll find out. He's going to join us. Very knowledgeable, good insight. He's read the 45-page indictment. I kind of blew through the 45-page indictment, trying to grab as much valuable information as I could to give to you. If you go to my Twitter, @Corey Johnson, that 45-page indictment is there, along with a bunch of national and local stories on the mayor's indictment. And not patting myself on the back, but on social media, on the program, folks call in, social media, commenting about, you said 2 weeks ago the mayor was going to be indicted. And then I said, yeah, there was a conflict with a judge and it's getting postponed. Apparently that's the rumor. If it were fact and I verified it with federal sources, I would tell you that. But I had great sources. I told you one of them's like 10 for 10. One of them's 15 for 15. There's like 30 for 30. They're not people that seek out info to call me and give me breaking news. When something falls in their world, in their wheelhouse, they'll let me know. And they're always right. And it's multiple sources, like with an S, sources, plural, not just one person. I got it from one person, called another for backup, another, about 4 or 5 total. All of them saying an indictment is inevitable. I get Joe Responti on the program Tuesday, because Tuesday I'm breaking the story, not the breaking the story, but again, talking about the rumor of today, this Friday, she'll get indicted. And the reason she wasn't a few Fridays ago, because of a conflict with a judge. I get Joe Responti on. We discuss none of that. And I asked Joe about Friday. He says, that's what I'm hearing as well. And this is on Tuesday of this week. And then he goes off on, it was supposed to happen a couple of Fridays ago, exactly like I was saying. So his sources are telling him the same stuff. But there was a conflict, and I'm telling you, conflict with the judge. Response, he's like, a conflict with the judge's wife who works for a law firm where there was a conflict of interest. Like, he knew more details about this conflict of interest with the judge. It went beyond the judge. Wife, law firm she works for, etc. So it postponed, delayed the indictment. So on Tuesday, talking about that on the program, catching flack about Corey's second time, boy who cried wolf, social media, on Twitter, same stuff. It's just like, just wait. And I said this yesterday, and on Wednesday. How often do you hear me say rumors? And I'm not clickbait or trying to draw people in. I want the show to be bigger. I'd like to get a bigger social media presence where I'm not very good. And radio, on and on and on. But the point is, I was telling you that I've got sources. The rumors are this. It could happen on Friday. And the last few days, I'm telling folks that that's not my MO. I'm not a big story breaker. It happens every now and then with some sources I have, and I never talk about rumors. And I can't tell you the last time I've ever even said, like, the rumor is, and this is maybe the first time ever. So, no, it's all about credibility and, telling it like it is and going with facts and not having an agenda, not leaning left or right. Breaking news earlier this afternoon, right around 1:00, a federal grand jury. The feds have indicted Mayor Latoya Junket Cantrell, 18 counts, including 14 counts of wire fraud and 1 count each of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, false statements, and conspiracy to obstruct justice. A lot of it is based around her relationship with former officer Jeffrey Vappy. I've said this a gazillion times. I don't care who the mayor is with. I don't care if she's cheating, her personal life. That's her deal. I don't care about that. And then I also said, unless it has something to do with taxpayer money, our money, the citizens, stealing, theft, corruption, taking advantage of the system, then I got a problem with that relationship. When we come back, attorney CJ Murdoch will break it down for us. Joe Responti's going to join us. Michael Heck, stick around. Big day. New Orleans Mayor Latoya Junket Cantrell indicted, 18 counts. Have you been to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville yet? What are you waiting for? Absolutely fantastic. One of the best meals you'll get anywhere. One of New Orleans, the metro area's finest restaurants, and I'm including the great ones in New Orleans proper. Worth the drive to Mandeville. That's not some radio, television, advertising line. Worth the drive from anywhere. Gallagher's 527 is special. You won't be disappointed. If you love great New Orleans-inspired food, steak sizzling in butter, great local seafood. Are you kidding me? Get over to Mandeville, Gallagher's 527.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa, woodhousespas.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSAgency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSAgency.com.
Word is, one of the best restaurants in New Orleans isn't even in New Orleans. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Cross the lake and taste what you're missing. Tuesday through Saturday, Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on Magazine, as unique as you.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Breaking news earlier this afternoon, Mayor Latoya Junket Cantrell indicted. Craig Murdoch is a local attorney. He gets on social media. He has lots of opinions and comments, but from a legal standpoint, and seems to be very, very accurate, knows what he's talking about, has some experience at this. Craig Murdoch joins us live on the program. Craig, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me on, Corey. It's good to be here.
Yep, my pleasure. Hey, are you what's your background in law in New Orleans? Are you a former prosecutor? What's your story?
I was an assistant district attorney for 3 years after Katrina.
Wow.
And then I've been a criminal defense attorney since 2009. And I've been defending people in federal, state, municipal court all over the country, or even all over the country. I did a case in New York once. I've done, when I did a case in Texas. So all I do is criminal defense. I would think I have my 10,000 hours in, but, you know.
Well, plus
there are people who would disagree with that.
Plus the 3 years in the DA's office, you're prosecuting criminals, and now you're defending criminals, right?
Correct. Yeah. Or people charged with a crime.
Yes. So you know, yeah, that's a better way to say it. Exactly. So you know how this works. You know both sides of it.
Yeah.
What's your immediate take when I say Mayor Latoya Cantrell was indicted today on 18 counts?
Well, as a citizen of New Orleans who has lived under her rule for 7.5 years, all I can say is hallelujah. I'm glad this is happening. Now, the substantive part of the indictment, the legal issues in the indictment, and I think this is a really important fact that people seem to be glossing over, and I don't know how they know this, okay, but Fox 8 is reporting that 12 out of the 16 grand jurors voted for the indictment. That means there were 4 grand jurors who did not believe.
Well, they said it. They said at least 12 in the story. Not the headline said 12. The story said at least 12.
At least 12, but then so maybe it was the full 16. But if there were grand jurors who had issues with a lesser legal standard, probable cause for an indictment, not beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
I think that's going to be I think that's problematic, particularly because, and the indictment basically, the way I look at this indictment overall is there are really two parts to the indictment. There is the wire fraud scheme, which on its own, I actually wonder if this would have even been brought, to be honest with you. I think it's very, very weak sauce here from the government on the wire fraud scheme. Now, the cover-up and the obstruction is really, really bad for Cantrell. And the government is using sort of the cover-up here as evidence of criminal intent. They're saying the deletions of the WhatsApp messages, not complying with the subpoena, Vappy lying to the FBI, those are evidence of consciousness of guilt. They knew what they were doing is wrong. And as such, that they're going to lean heavily on that to prove the wire fraud scheme. As to, if you want, I can break down why I think the wire fraud scheme has some issues.
Yeah. First off, what are the feds alleging is the wire fraud scheme, and why do you feel it's got issues? And before you answer that, Craig, how many in the grand jury need to vote for an indictment out of 16? Is it just a
you would need 12, yes.
Okay, so there's yes. I mean, the Fox 8 story. I mean, it's either they know something or they're just stating the obvious that you need 12, and because the story itself says at least 12. So, okay, but the headline says 12, and that's what got me to read the story. So there's a little bit of conflicting there. Maybe the headline was a tease to draw you in, but it says at least 12. But I was just curious what the number is, and if there are any holdouts, why is that a problem? And then you explain to us what's the prosecution, where the feds are saying she did wrong with the wire fraud, and why do you think it's got holes in it?
Well, if there were holdout grand jurors, particularly based on sort of particularly strongly based on the evidence of the cover-up, which I think is really, really problematic for her, and I think it's highly unlikely she's acquitted on all charges.
She basically lied to the feds, lied to a federal grand jury, said there was no relationship when there was, right?
Well, Vappy said that. She basically, we don't exactly know all of her grand jury testimony, but we know that she had made representations that to the grand jury that these were a complete
lie
a set of her WhatsApp messages.
Oh.
And it turns out that they later found out she had deleted numerous WhatsApp. And she had also filled out an affidavit stating that this was a complete reply to the subpoena.
Real quick, the WhatsApp is an app that she downloaded. So when her and Vappy would text each other, it would be encrypted. It's a cell phone messaging app that encrypts the messages. The feds decrypted them. Encrypted the encrypted stuff. I don't know how you'd say it. And
yes,
and
either from Vappy's phone because Vappy didn't delete it, or they subpoenaed it from, I guess Meta owns WhatsApp. So and we all know Meta is always willing to comply with law enforcement. So regardless of what they tell you about your
privacy,
security of your text messages. So they either got these from Vappy's phone and Vappy didn't delete them, or they were able to subpoena and they were recovered in some way by Meta, even though Meta's making representations that once these messages are deleted, they're gone, which may be news to a lot of people who use WhatsApp. So if you have four people or you have some holdout grand jurors who don't find probable cause for this which is a lower standard than what they need to prove at trial, that can be a real problem for them, because it means that there were jurors who just found. I would expect, obviously, I haven't talked to any grand jurors. It's a secret process. We don't know who they are. But if there were grand jurors who did not vote for this indictment, they're voting because they found sort of the nature of the personal relationship. They found the whole thing kind of invasive, a violation of the mayor's privacy.
Well, I'm assuming there are a lot of federal indictments where you don't have unanimous grand jury vote, right?
I mean, well, one, the grand jury process is pretty secretive, which is also why, I think maybe we don't know the amount, because I've never seen how many grand jurors vote. I mean,
and so that isn't public knowledge. That the defense or the prosecution would have no idea how the grand jury voted, the numbers.
Yeah, it's largely irrelevant.
No, I think that tells me, Craig, that because again, not to be redundant, that in the story, at least 12, maybe they're just stating what you're saying. Like when I asked you how many are needed and you were like 12. So maybe they're just saying that.
That could be the case.
Which would be kind of a little misleading in a way, but anyway, go on. Why the wire fraud? Why the holes?
So with respect to the wire fraud, I think there are some pretty persuasive defense arguments from a narrative point of view, in reframing the government's narrative, and also legally in terms of trying to defeat this on its elements. You have, obviously, you have an intimate relationship between two people. They have extreme media scrutiny. We know the mayor has some, I don't know how, I'm not a psychiatrist, but some, personal issues with paranoia and her sense of entitlement and doubling down on her decisions and not ever giving an inch to criticism. So they have reasons, and obviously she was married at the time. So they have reason, regardless of the state of that relationship, they have reasons to conceal the relationship that have nothing to do with criminality. And I mean, a lot of people who are not public officials, when they're in intimate relationships, they often lie about them. They often don't tell the truth. And I think a lot of people who have not lived under her rule are going to be sympathetic to that. I mean, you've seen that before.
Well, here's the only thing, though, Craig. Craig, here's the only problem with what you're doing, what I'm doing, what anyone else is doing. I don't really care, and it's not against the law or any of that. But when public dollars are being exploited with trips that are unnecessary, security that's unnecessary, upgrades that are unnecessary, that's where the legal problem comes in, right?
Well, that is what the government says, and I think there is a very, very good argument. This is the argument that they are going to make, is that all of this was within her authority of mayor to decide who was on her executive protection team, whether she needed executive protection, what parts of the trip. I mean, obviously, not every one of these trips did have some. I mean, you and I know how specious this is.
Yes.
But there is an argument that every part of this,
it was legitimate security,
had some mayoral duty or connected to her employment and the Babby's employment. And there's a blending. Obviously, when you go on trips, business trips, and people recognize that there is personal time. I mean, hotel bars would not exist if people only had to work while on work time. And that's going to be the main thrust of what the defense argument will be in this case, that she has broad authority as mayor, a lot of these trips served a legitimate purpose. I mean, you and I both know
Yeah.
that doesn't really pass the smell test. But
No. Hey, Craig, hold that thought. I don't mean to cut you off. The break train's coming. Coming right back with Craig Murdoch, local
Ladies
attorney.
and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We're doing all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience. Right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
South Shore residents that love good food are making the short trip across the lake to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. North Shore folks have known about Gallagher's 527 for years. Now the South Shore has discovered this hidden gem. One of the metro area's best restaurants is less than 30 minutes away. Take the quick trip across the lake and experience Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. As good as it gets.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live, we live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. It's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again. Ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now.
Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
Major breaking story today in the city of New Orleans, nationally as well. That's sort of the catch-22. You know, we're glad to see a public official that seems to be doing deviant behavior get indicted. But then nationally, it's like there's corrupt New Orleans and Louisiana, not good for our reputation. Breaking news. Mayor Latoya Junket Cantrell indicted 18 counts by a federal grand jury. Former New Orleans assistant DA, a prosecutor, now defense attorney, Craig Murdoch, joins us live on the program. So, Craig, we were talking about, you basically said this 45-page, 18-count indictment boils down to two big things: wire fraud and the cover-up, the obstruction. You feel the cover-up and the obstruction part, the feds have a pretty strong case. you're a little weary of the wire fraud charges. What are the 14 wire fraud charges? Is it some money that just went into a bank account and it was illegally gotten? The feds are saying. What are the 14 count wire frauds about?
So this is actually, I think, one of the more interesting aspects of this case, and it's probably very esoteric. It will probably not be fought out in court, in a public manner, in an oral argument or with witnesses, but it will be done on paper. I think there is a very good argument here that the actions of this case do not constitute wire fraud. Basically, the allegations are that the money was, the money for the flights were reimbursed, the money for the travel was reimbursed. That pay was obviously not. The wire is the wire transfer of that pay and those expenses during travel that is direct deposited into his account, and obviously Latoya's account as well.
So it's the mayor. It's a mayor to the feds, at least. It's the mayor approving some fraudulent time for Vappy and him getting paid. So they're both guilty of that wire fraud in that particular.
And yes, and what they're saying is that they are using the tools of interstate commerce to perpetuate the fraud. That's how the feds get jurisdiction, okay? And they're saying that the tool of interstate commerce here is the direct deposit into the bank account. And I would argue, and I think this is actually believe it or not, this argument, these kind of arguments where you're traveling, basically we're at the point where the case law says everything's interstate commerce. I mean, there are some narrow exceptions here or there, but broadly, everything in the United States is interstate commerce for the purpose of federal jurisdiction. And I think there's an argument that a direct deposit into a bank account that was, where the actions were completed in Louisiana. Again, we don't know whether it was a Louisiana bank or not, and that could change I don't know who does the city payroll, and that could actually change this argument significantly. But if it's a local bank, a local bank making a direct deposit in the Vappy's bank account or in the Latoya's bank account, those are not the instrumentalities of interstate commerce or a tool of interstate commerce. It's actually intrastate because everything was done in the state of Louisiana as part of a local government operation. And I would expect a motion on that at some point in the process.
So you're saying like if it's a Gulf Coast Bank or Liberty or something, that's local, but if it's Chase or Capital One, that's national.
Different argument, and if it's Capital One or something like that, or now that Whitney has branches in Alabama.
Yep.
I'm completely out in left field, and the analysis doesn't apply. But you're right. If it's Liberty or Gulf Coast Bank, then that's going to be an issue for the federal government. I think it's a good issue for Latoya's attorneys to raise in this case, that it does not necessarily meet the requirement of interstate commerce, and local government payroll is essentially an intrastate issue. And that would be my argument. Assuming we know who the bank, assuming it's a local bank, that would certainly change the argument. The other issue too is, Vappy, again, he's going on, there's nothing, Vappy never filed anything fraudulent, right? Like he went on the trip. He was there as part of the executive protection. At least it has the veneer of that. And he then submits his time card and time sheet to the payroll. So he's not making a false representation.
Unless he is drinking and carrying the firearm while he's drinking, and he's supposed to be paying, protecting the mayor, right?
The argument would be those are sort of administrative issues with his duty. and that he should be reprimanded for it, but it's not criminal.
Now, got you.
That
Real quick, another one I
how
wanted to ask you that
the
if
defense is going to handle that. Okay? He should be reprimanded internally, but that does not rise to the level of having a drink while on duty does not rise to the level of a federal crime.
and
That is-
the mayor
that is what
and the mayor of New Orleans having an affair with a subordinate is not a crime.
That's not a crime either.
Right.
It's not great. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, the optics of this thing are so bad for her and so bad for Vappy that, it makes it almost like, they soiled this whole thing with their conduct.
Yeah.
Where had they just kind of not flaunted the issue, kept it, whatever. I mean, she could have even said, yeah, we're having a relationship instead of denying it.
Yeah.
One of the things they talk about in this indictment, and not that this is a crime or anything like that, but they're using that to show criminal intent, is that she was lying to the media. Well, Corey, you've been in media for longer than I know, and like how many politicians lie to reporters?
No, there's nothing against the law about there's
right?
not there's nothing against lying about a relationship, nothing against the law, unless it's to a federal grand jury or the feds, and there is a false statement count. So I'm assuming it's that.
From Vappy, yes, and Vappy apparently did lie to the FBI about whether he was in a relationship with Latoya, and that count is going to be very problematic. I don't see how he gets around that, other than the good news in a case like that is that the FBI does not ever record anything. Okay, they use this thing called a 302 statement, which sort of outlines everything they did and what people said, and those 302s become reflective. They basically become gospel. And I mean, I have seen 302s where people say, that my client says, no, that's not what I said, or misinterprets what I said. So there could be, again, we don't know enough at this point. I don't want to speculate, but you could see an argument where Vappy says, well, I didn't, the question was asked a certain way and I misinterpreted the question. And what I did say was, largely truthful. Again, I'm not saying that's going to be a defense, and I mean, my gut reaction is he's probably going to have to plea on that count or be found guilty on that count. But that count, those counts can be defensible sometimes. I would want to know more before we wrote it completely off. But I mean, the cover up and their conduct is so horrendous throughout this whole thing. It just makes it like everything they did sort of compounded what was probably a fairly trifling crime.
Yeah, no,
that might not even be that might not even have attracted any interest, because one of the things, at least in the initial, this is the other thing I think is really important. In the initial Vappy indictment that came out last summer, they were talking only about $10,000.
Yeah, $7 grand, 70 something hundred.
Yeah, it was less. Yeah. And in federal court, particularly on white collar crime, what drives sentencing is the amount of loss. And $7,000 or $10,000, that doesn't even get and Vappy has no criminal history or anything like that. That basically would guarantee the person probation. Okay, I mean, there's virtually no world in which he would get jail time for that. And
right.
That was largely sort of what people were saying and speculating why she hadn't been indicted, was that these amounts are so piddling.
Yeah.
Why would you go after the mayor for that, right? So now they've added in the costs of the trip. But the cost of the trip, I mean, if she has a legitimate mayoral purpose, I mean, she's allowed to engage in personal activities while she's on these trips. I mean, you and I both know it's largely a joke, and probably most
that's what the feds are going to try to prove, that the security wasn't necessary, and Vappy went, and they're saying $70,000, billed to the city for those expenses.
Yes. And that's going to get you, and that's going to get you, if they're able to prove that, and they're able to prove that as the amount of loss, that's going to get them at least some jail time. Now, obviously, you're going to get jail time for the lying and the non-compliance with the subpoena and the obstructive conduct. But the amount of loss where they're up to $70,000-$80,000, now you're looking at probably 12 to 18 months. I haven't done. I mean, the indictment came out, and I haven't done the full back of the envelope sentencing guideline calculation yet. But that's probably, just having dealt with some crimes, federal crimes in that general range between 80 and 150. It's usually about 12. You're looking at 12, 18 to 24 months. Wire fraud has actually a higher sentencing range than some of the other things that she could have been charged with. So that's the other thing in terms of this. If she was charged, honest services fraud or misappropriation of funds or something that, that actually has a much lower sentencing range.
Hey, Craig, hang on a second.
The wire fraud is designed to make sure that charge.
Hang on one sec. I'm going to come right back, Craig. Hang on one second.
It's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Word is, one of the best restaurants in New Orleans isn't even in New Orleans. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Cross the lake and taste what you're missing. Tuesday through Saturday, Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on Magazine, as unique as you.
When USA Today ranked the 10 best must-visit New Orleans restaurants for travelers, Mid-City's own Katie's made the list. USA Today says Scott Craig is chef-owner at Katie's, a much-loved Creole-Italian eatery that draws armies of regulars for lunch, brunch, and dinner. A neighborhood spot where locals congregate and New Orleans-style hospitality rules. Indeed it does. Katie's in Mid-City.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future. At the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you. Thanks so much for joining us every day. This program is brought to you by the Lamarck Automotive Complex in Kenner, home of Lamarck Ford, the big store, and Lamarck Lincoln, #1 Lincoln dealer in the state. And also brought to you by Crescent City Ford, Lamarck Crescent City Ford, if you need a commercial truck, van, or SUV. Craig Mordock is with us, former New Orleans assistant DA, now defense attorney. He was once a prosecutor, now defending alleged criminals. Craig, earlier when I mentioned the false statements, you were like, yeah, that was Vappy. I don't know how the law works, but I was assuming that this is an 18-count indictment on the mayor, and Vappy's indictment from last summer is going to have enhancements from this one. Like he's going to get some stuff added to his original indictment or have two indictments. Am I warm? How is it 18 for the mayor and some for Vappy?
So the conspiracy to commit wire fraud, which is the submission of the payroll and the travel expenses, is 14 counts on both of them. So then you have that. Then you have a conspiracy to commit obstruction of justice. But Vappy looks like, and again, I've only had a couple hours with this indictment.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I could be wrong here. It looks like Vappy has his own count here for lying to the feds when they questioned him about the relationship.
Gotcha. He lied like 2 or 3 times.
A false statement, 18 USC section 101, 100182. I don't think they're alleging a conspiracy here with Cantrell being on the hook for Vappy's false statements. So that count would apply specifically to Vappy. And then you have Cantrell having the obstruction of justice count, 16, is considered is on Cantrell, it looks like, not Vappy. So it does not look like there's a conspiracy to obstruct justice. They're being charged individually with their own acts of obstruction, which also is interesting because it could mean that could argue that there could be a severance of the defendants here, where Vappy would get his own trial and Latoya would get her own trial, because there are various. If there's not a scheme to obstruct, you wouldn't want to confuse the issues, and possibly because Latoya did one thing and then Vappy did something else. Well, they're both guilty. You want them to weigh the evidence individually on something like that.
Was I right when I said, first off, on Tuesday, I was saying it looks like she's going to be indicted on Friday. And I was like, the last couple of days, I've been saying it appears to be many smaller things than like a couple of counts that are large things. Is that a pretty accurate take or not necessarily?
No, I think that's accurate. I think this wire fraud scheme is pretty trifling in terms of what the amounts, the operation of it.
But it's 14 of them, so they add up to something significant.
Because they're looking at about $70,000 to $80,000. If you remember the original indictment against Vappy, to answer your question about that, this is considered a superseding indictment against Vappy. So
yes.
What that means is basically this is all new, or from an operational law standpoint, this is all new stuff, and they're just going to dismiss the old indictment against him. He's not going to have two. He's just going to have to defend this because it incorporates most or all of the conduct of the previous indictment. We're looking at about $80,000 here in terms of the amount of loss, and that's including the travel expenses, which I think they're going to be able to justify, a large portion of that. Even if they're found guilty on this, The question is, well, the amount of loss is what's going to drive sentencing. And one of the weaknesses of the original Vappy indictment was that it was somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 was the alleged amount of loss.
Yeah.
And in a wire fraud, I mean, that doesn't even get you jail time. I mean, Vappy has no criminal history. There's nothing to really enhance it. He would be looking at probation, 99%.
No, I got you.
Now they because they include the travel here, it's around $80,000. And I haven't done the actual guideline calculation yet, but I think you're probably looking at 12 to 18 months. As probably a guideline sentence, or 18 to 24 months, somewhere in that range for this amount of money.
Right.
And what again, the judge can always go up or go down based on circumstances. And what we've seen in these cases involving politicians, particularly New Orleans politicians, is they almost always go up. I mean, Megan got 10 years, which was I thought pretty harsh.
Edwin Edwards, Bill
not
Jefferson,
that he's been convicted or anything, but that was a very harsh sentence for his conduct. A regular business person who engaged in that level of conduct would not have received the sentence.
But it's the public official, civic duty, that kind of stuff. Hey, Craig Murdoch's with us, former New Orleans assistant DA, now defense attorney. Real quick, Craig, we got about a minute. Superseding indictments. The mayor could get some superseding indictments. This indictment might get Randy Farrell or that Faoud guy, might get Vappy cooperating, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is there's an indictment against Randy Farrell out there for,
paying off the mayor.
Trying to get the city inspector fired and providing Latoya with, Saints tickets. I mean, again, this is trifling amounts of money.
But it adds up.
Saints tickets. I think there was a dinner at like Commander.
Yeah, a $1,000 iPhone, things like that.
Yeah. And so that is out there as well. And the federal government basically gave themselves a extension on the statute of limitations on this.
Yeah.
Because they're saying that the conspiracy continued until the last filed inspection for one of Farrell's properties.
Right. Now that was smart. That was
happened in like September of 2020.
No, they were right up on the time limit, which I'm right up on the time limit. Hey, Craig, how can folks check you out on social media, on Twitter, where they can check out your stuff on this?
At CJ Murdoch on Twitter, and then MurdochLegal.com is my website. If anybody ever runs afoul of the law, I'm always available for a consultation.
Craig, I appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Have a great weekend.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
It's 5 p.m.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. My Sittu, that's Arabic for grandmother, used to make the best football kibbe. You can experience kibbe just like my grandmother used to make, and so many other Middle Eastern favorites on the streetcar line. Lebanon's Cafe.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again, ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now. Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
South Shore residents that love good food are making the short trip across the lake to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. North Shore folks have known about Gallagher's 527 for years. Now the South Shore has discovered this hidden gem. One of the metro area's best restaurants is less than 30 minutes away. Take the quick trip across the lake and experience Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. As good as it gets.
It's time to relax. The Woodhouse Day Spa, Metro New Orleans' premier day spa experience, now with 5 area locations. For a day of relaxation or maybe just a quick 1-hour getaway, the Metro area's premier day spa experience is at the Woodhouse Day Spa, and now 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and our newest location in Mandeville, the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right. Helm Paint.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love. More. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Wow. Huge news day in the city of New Orleans. We talked about it back on Tuesday, rumors flying, and I don't talk about any rumor. I'm not trying to get clickbait or draw people in with nonsense. I got a reputation. I start lying or coming up with rumors and do it over and over and over again, and nothing's happening. Folks aren't going to take me seriously. I get how the world works. I've been doing this a little while. In front of a microphone, in front of a camera, I take it very seriously, that responsibility. So when I was saying on Tuesday, rumors are flying out of Tulane and Broad that Mayor Junket Latoya Cantrell will be indicted on Friday, I wasn't just saying that to, hey, it's summertime, let me get some audience for the show. Breaking news, a little bit after 1 p.m. this afternoon, Mayor Latoya Junket Cantrell was indeed indicted by a federal grand jury. 18-count indictment, 14 counts of wire fraud, and 1 count each of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, false statements, conspiracy to obstruct justice. The relationship with former NOPD officer Jeffrey Vappy has a lot to do with it. About $70,000, the feds are saying, in unnecessary trips and travel. They were trying to hide the relationship, lying about it to the feds, and then maximizing their time together on the public dime. The feds say, and I quote, exploited their public positions to develop and implement a scheme to defraud the city of New Orleans and the NOPD. Traveled with them out of state, out of the country when protection was not needed. That's the feds' argument. Lying under oath to the feds and a grand jury. Talking about the WhatsApp app, which is a free encrypted cell phone messaging app. Personal correspondence started between the mayor and Vappy, encrypting these texts, which the feds obviously, found out what the texts were saying. Over 15,000 texts between Vappy and the mayor. 15,000. On one of the texts from when Vappy and the mayor had gone to Scotland, afterwards they were mentioning the Scotland trip, and the quote was, where it all started, talking about their relationship. Martha's Vineyard, Los Angeles, Orlando, San Francisco, D.C., international trips like Scotland and even the United Arab Emirates. Wire fraud, cover-up, obstruction. That's a basic breakdown of it. The mayor has hired, who is it, Chastain, a very capable attorney who also will cut a plea deal when he sees there's no way out. And then Harry Rosenberg, as good as it gets. If I had a problem, I'm not going with a TV attorney. I have a problem, I'm calling Harry Rosenberg to represent me. So give the mayor and give Vappy credit. They've hired great attorneys, great defense attorneys. Corey Johnson with you on a Fantasy Friday edition of the program. No fantasy, breaking news. Earlier today, a little after 1 o'clock, Mayor Junket Cantrell indicted by the feds. An 18-count federal grand jury indictment. Coming up in a few minutes, Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans Inc. will join us like he does every Friday. And we'll get his take on this situation, which isn't good. This is such a catch-22. I was trying to think of like an analogy, what it's like. It's for us, New Orleanians, Louisiana residents, we have a major problem with political jokers, people that go into politics that are in it to enrich themselves, their friends, their family, setting up the needs of the few instead of us, working for us. A lot of the time, it's criminal behavior. At the very least, it's unethical, immoral, inept. We're not getting anything out of these public officials. So that's our rep in New Orleans. That's our rep in Louisiana. Thank you, Bill Jefferson. Thank you, Edwin Edwards. Thank you, Mark Morial. Thank you, John Alario. Man, go on and on and on. It's ridiculous. Even the folks that don't go away to jail, like Alario or, Jack Stevens, the old St. Bernard sheriff, it's just Walter Reed getting out early because of Corona, whatever, we have a bad rep. So as citizens of the state and city, yes, we want the corrupt politicians to get indicted and to go to jail. But then also, and you can go to my Twitter at Corey Johnson, I posted a bunch of national stories that are out there from all kind of outlets: New York Times, New York Post, Washington Post, USA Today, Fox News, CNN. It's everywhere. New Orleans Mayor Latoya Cantrell indicted. So it just sends out this message. It sends out the message and reinforces the message that already exists, that New Orleans and Louisiana, man, politically corrupt. So then CEOs, business leader, decision maker types, Fortune 500 types like, maybe I'll go somewhere else. Got to deal with the political shenanigans of New Orleans and Louisiana. So most definitely a catch-22. Michael Heck's all about bringing economic development into our city. This has to be a good day in a way because you're getting a deviant, crooked, inept mayor indicted. And it's bad in a way because it's national news and everybody just sees. It's just reinforcing what a lot of folks already know nationwide. Mayor Latoya Cantrell indicted. No, and it looks like there's some pretty strong counts of these 18. I think that the mayor will end up saying she's not, I'm not guilty. This is all nonsense. I'm going to fight it. And then I would imagine in a few months, because of this mayoral indictment, you're going to see people like Randy Farrell, who was already indicted, the, building inspector guy, this Faoud guy, the old boxer guy, the guy that had the artwork stolen, had the NOPD cop verify it when there was no artwork stolen and they were, trying to get the money from the insurance company. He supposedly had, paid off the mayor, a quid pro quo, giving her something of value, getting something of value in return. And then maybe even Vappy. I don't know how tight they still are. Are they still in a relationship? Whatever. But maybe Vappy too. Corey Johnson with you on a Friday afternoon. Now, I think the mayor will eventually, in my opinion, will plead guilty because her attorney is smart. And if he sees no way out, they will cop a plea. I mean, the mayor can always override him and say, I want to go to trial and try to win this thing, which I think would be a major mistake. Do I think the mayor will do the right thing and resign as mayor? Who in their right mind out there thinks that's going to happen? The only way that happens is if the feds and the mayor cut a deal. Okay, we're going to, reduce the counts. We're going to only go with this. You plead guilty. You'll get, 20 months in jail instead of potentially, 10 years. And I'm just making up the numbers. And you resign as mayor. You resign as mayor. Bill Jefferson was a 9-time congressman, 9 terms. He lost to Joseph Gow, one of the biggest upsets in New Orleans history. Ironically, he was running against Helena Moreno for that seat. Beat Helena Moreno. Gow was an independent, or they were in the, the race was done. Bill Jefferson didn't even talk about the race, didn't advertise, didn't promote it, didn't say, I'm in a runoff against Gow, just thought it was a foregone conclusion, and Gow won. Bill Jefferson was ousted from Congress, not reelected. If he was still a congressman, he would have had some cards, a little leverage with the feds. I'll resign. Okay, we'll lower what we're going to do to you now because we're getting a congressman to resign. That's a win for the feds. So the feds are like, we're getting a sitting mayor to resign. That's a win. So the mayor's term ends in January, about 6 months away, 5.5 months away. This indictment could get some of these other indicted folks that, public official A, public official 1, which is Latoya Cantrell, might get them to flip to cut their own time and be a witness for the feds against the mayor. Nothing in this 18-count indictment has anything to do with Randy Farrell. None of it. So there could be a superseding indictment where those alleged criminal activities, the quid pro quo between those two, that could be brought up. So we'll see what's going to happen. But yeah, the mayor resigning only if she, her attorney's like, we're going to cut a deal. This is the best we can do. Plead guilty, take the jail time, and resign, because the resigning is cutting another year off your jail time, something like that. That's the only way this mayor resigns. Corey Johnson with you, Fantasy Friday edition of the program. New Orleans attorney Joe Responti is going to join us before the top of the hour. If we can pull him away from Fox 8, he just does a great job. Craig Mordock just joined us, former assistant DA in New Orleans, now a defense attorney, breaking down the indictment. Michael Heck from Greater New Orleans, Inc. joins us next. Corey Johnson with you on a Friday. Mayor Junket Cantrell indicted.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots. Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
Word is, one of the best restaurants in New Orleans isn't even in New Orleans. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Cross the lake and taste what you're missing. Tuesday through Saturday. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day. By river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com. Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City.
Welcome back, Crescent City. Friday afternoon. Hey, you folks beelining across the causeway right now, be a hero when you walk in the house. Fire in a big to-go order from Trey Yen. Curbside delivery. Great local fresh seafood. Incredible Chinese cuisine. Trey Yen in Mandeville, curbside delivery. Mom, dad, the kids, you walk in the house with that big to-go box from Trey Yen, everybody's happy. Dinner tonight, dine in there. Dinner tomorrow night, Sunday, all day long. Trey Yen in Mandeville, so good. Breaking news, Mayor Latoya Junket Cantrell was indicted 18 counts by a federal grand jury, 14 counts of wire fraud, 1 count each of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, false statements, conspiracy to obstruct justice. Earlier I had said, this is a catch-22. As a New Orleanian, somebody that's, the mayor's inept, deviant behavior, corrupt, any politician that we elect that's doing something crooked, we want them indicted. We want them gone. But also, I'm looking at CNN, Fox, Washington Post, New York Times, New York Post, all these national outlets, LA Times, New Orleans Mayor Latoya Cantrell indicted. So it sends out this national message that what people think about New Orleans and Louisiana, it enhances that. It just adds to what people already think, that we're politically corrupt. So it's a catch-22. It's good to get rid of the criminals, but it's bad that the national perception is New Orleans is a loony bin when it comes to politicians. Michael Hecht is with us like he is every single week from Greater New Orleans. We're going to talk about some good economic news in a second, but Michael, on one hand, it's like, we don't want people we elect, civic-minded people, doing corrupt stuff, and we want them out. But boy, when it happens, an indictment like this, it's a national story, and it doesn't make us look good.
No, I mean, it's bitter medicine. It definitely doesn't make our job at GNO Inc. easier in the near term. And I think the positive messages that come out of this is, one, what you said, that we've shown, or we're showing now, that this type of behavior, won't be tolerated. And I think the other thing, if we take a step back and we think about all of the good economic news that is happening with redevelopment projects like Charity and the River District and the NSA and Plaza Tower and the Super Bowl and energy and Mishu and tech, it also shows that there's an awfully good business community and civic community in the city and region that's been able to power forward even when we have leadership that is MIA. And so, I don't know if that's a silver lining, but it's true. And if you couple that with really committed present leadership, then we should be able to really succeed, really shine.
Hey, Michael, in your business, there are people that do what you do in just about every metropolitan area in the United States. Right now in med school, one thing that they have to teach doctors today that they didn't have to before, it's how to handle patients when they say, the internet said, or Google said, or on TV, they said I should be taking this drug. And, I'm a doctor. I'm like, okay, doctor, why don't you get out? Where'd you get your degree? I'd be losing it. So they're teaching these doctors to not be like Corey and be patient and talk to the patient the correct way when they come up with these absurd, I saw it on the internet or the TV told me to use this drug. What do people in your business say for what, how do you to handle a situation like this? Like if somebody gets indicted in Phoenix, all of a sudden everybody's calling that Michael Hecht of Phoenix and going, hey, I'm thinking about bringing the manufacturing plant down there. Jimmy, what should I be concerned with these indictments? What's the company line that you say when people are talking to you and they're like, your mayor just got indicted, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's tough. It's tough to spin something like that away because, as you said, in the case of New Orleans, it kind of reinforces a negative stereotype. So what you have to do is counteract it for that one, bad actor with 10 good actors, other elected officials, business leaders, university presidents, and show that the vast majority of individuals are going to be great team members for the company. You have to demonstrate that was a bad apple and that was the exception and not the norm. But it's I'm good, Corey, but I'm not that good. I can't spin it away because if you look back, we had Nagin, and then 20 years later we're kind of back where we started after Katrina, and so it's going to take some time for this to fade. It's a bruise that's going to take a little time to fade.
Yeah, I guess you can just be like, guys, we've been on a war path. We have a higher percentage. Violent crime all around the country, as we all know, is going down in major cities. We have a higher percentage of decrease than anywhere in America. And we've taken that, all across the board. So although this indictment looks bad, it is us saying we have zero tolerance for this. I don't know. That would be the only way I think you could spin it in.
I mean, Corey, you said that. I can't see your face. I'm presuming it was with a straight face. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to run with that.
Yeah, because the first part's totally true, and the second part you could argue is true, and the feds are very active and all of that. So I think that's the only way.
No, that's true. That's true. This is a place where we're watching everybody.
Yep. Yep. No, exactly. Hey, Michael, I've got to get into this, big story, the indictment talk, but can we go rapid fire on some things I thought were pretty good economically, locally?
Yeah, let's do it, my friend.
Super real quick. The city council in Kenner voted they're going to put that American Cruise Line dock at Kenner Rivertown. We've already got one in New Orleans proper. I think that's good news. That's good news for Kenner.
It's great news for Kenner. That whole Rivertown district, it's really kind of cute. I've always kind of loved it down there. They have a really good DMV down there, hint, hint, you can go to that's really friendly and usually not crowded. So I love that for Kenner. I think Kenner, if you go from the river out to the lake, it's got a lot going on for it. It's got interesting parks. It's got great food. Kenner's kind of becoming like the Queens of the region. It's got a great immigrant population. So, no, I love that for Kenner. I think Kenner deserves it.
They did that study with an Atlanta-based company a few years ago. How do we maximize the lake and riverfront? And they were like, they gave the old kindergarten answer that I've been pounding for years. Let people live on the water, on the Batch or on the river, have condos, apartments on the lake. We cities would cut off an arm for our lake and river. And we probably have about 2,000 people out of 1.2 million in the metro living on the lake or the river. It's insane.
Oh, it's true. Hey, have you been, by the way, to the new Bachelor development in Uptown New Orleans, right on Leak and Magazine?
No, right up by the Fly. They've been developing that, huh?
Yeah, go and check it out. It's actually pretty remarkable. It's the old Bissau, tow yard. And it's great. They've got a great lawn. It's beautiful out there.
No, I'm going to go check it out. Yeah, one of those three different Bissau families, 3 different yards right there. It's the one on the end. Yeah, they took it over. No, I haven't been up there by the dog park, so I'll go check that out. Hey, Michael, Trader Joe's on Tulane Avenue opened. I mean, I don't know why people are waiting in line like they were, but that one's opening. Ferret and Napoleon's about to open it. It's just nice to see investment in New Orleans like that. Some of these people come from out of the, around the country, and they only go into like suburban or exurb areas. So it's nice to be in the inner city.
Yeah, there's some of these chains that somehow are taken as a sign of advanced civilization. There's Chick-fil-A, there's Trader Joe's.
Yep.
And I don't exactly get it. I guess they've got nice chocolate-covered almonds. But regardless, it's great that they're opening up, and it shows that there's confidence in the purchasing power of our public. So it's, that's to the good.
Big story of the day, Mayor Cantrell getting indicted. The mayor's election 8 weeks from tomorrow, Michael, 8 weeks. Hey, this is funny. The day the mayor's getting indicted, I'm going to give her credit on 2 things and 2 things only. I thought Ghassan Corbin was a great hire. Mitch Landrieu, I'm not knocking Mitch, but he hires, Cedric Grant, some anointed, appointed political hack that doesn't know anything about the Sewage and Water Board to run it. The Latoya Cantrell actually depoliticized it and got a guy from Milwaukee that knows what he's doing. And in 7 years, he advanced the Sewage and Water Board, I'd say, more than the last 70. The second one, Gilbert Montano, bringing him in from Albuquerque, not bringing in some anointed, appointed hack. And he's going to be second in charge at the Audubon Institute. Gilbert. It seems like a good spot for him.
He's a really good egg, and it's a great hire for Audubon. So I agree. Praise to people like Gilbert. Praise to Ghassan. Praise to people like Joe Threat. There are some real quality people operating in that administration, no doubt.
Yep. Hey, the Port of New Orleans is talking about, dare I say it, consolidation. The Port of Baton Rouge, the Port of Plaquemine, the Port of South Louisiana, the Port of St. Bernard, all working in harmony with the Port of New Orleans instead of fighting against each other.
Yeah, we're still got a long way to go, but we're much further than we were. This would have been unthinkable even 10 years ago that we would co-market, but now we're talking about marketing collectively. So, we are... I kind of say this is kind of similar to selling Christianity to the Vikings. It's not going to happen overnight, but slowly, we can we can educate the heathens.
Yeah, I'm a Christian Viking myself. Hey,
Yeah, you are. That's right, Corey.
Yep. Airport officials presented a master plan on Wednesday night in Canberra. 15 new gates. A lot going on, Michael. A $50 million roadway inside the airport. A new west garage, 3,000 cars. Expanding the west terminal to connect into a new terminal. Creating the East Concourse expansion. So, tell us a little bit about this plan to get it done by 2031 and how much is all of this going to cost? I didn't see any dollar figures. I'm figuring about $500 million.
No, I got to find out the number. But look, this was something that we knew was going to happen all along. We knew that the original airport was, quote, too small. But what a great problem to have. And it was built to expand. So all of this is kind of going according to plan. So I think it's wonderful news that, we've kind of outgrown our shoes sooner than we thought we were going to.
No, we outgrew it in less than a decade. And they want to get this done by, 2031. It'll be 50 total gates, Michael.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Really good news.
All right, let me get back to
For game-changing
the crazy
innovation, look
news.
to
Thanks
the
again,
Latrim family
Miguel.
of companies located in Harahan. Interlocks, a Latrim company,
Have a
changed
great
the game
weekend.
when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Interlocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Interlocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet, Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSAgency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSAgency.com.
Does Helm Paint have the best paint on the planet? Helm, yeah. We only sell Benjamin Moore, the world's finest paint. Because paint ain't paint. Let us steer you right. Helm Paint.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations, New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live, we live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. It's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
South Shore residents that love good food are making the short trip across the lake to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville.
Listen to this.
North Shore folks have known about Gallagher's 527 for years. Now the South Shore has discovered this hidden gem. One of the metro area's best restaurants is less than 30 minutes away. Take the quick trip across the lake and experience Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. as good as it gets.
I was at Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville with my family last Saturday night. It was fantastic. If you love great food, you like to dine out, you love great restaurants, you love New Orleans food, steaks, lamb chops sizzling in butter, gumbo, turtle soup, incredible seafood dishes. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville, one of the finest restaurants in Metro New Orleans, as good as it gets, literally. If you haven't been, you need to get to Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Lunch Tuesday through Friday, dinner Tuesday through Saturday night. Get there tonight, tomorrow night. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. So damn good. Corey Johnson with you on a Friday afternoon. Breaking news earlier this afternoon, a little bit after 1 o'clock. Mayor Latoya Junket Cantrell, mayor of the city of New Orleans, was indicted. A lot of folks have been waiting for this indictment, rumors about this indictment for a long time. The last few weeks, some very strong rumors. I'm not going to say broke the story, but no one else was talking about it anywhere on talk radio, 468-26 times PQ, nobody. No one could get verification, including myself. But I do talk radio and I do talk television. And I had multiple sources, plural, from Broad and Tulane and beyond. The mayor is going to get indicted on Friday. Went to several sources, got all saying the exact same thing, all having their own sources. Then it didn't happen. And talking to those sources again, there was a conflict with a judge. So these sources I know are legitimate. They're 100%, 10 for 10, one guy, the other one 15 for 15, this person 20 for 20, everything they've ever told me right on the money, because they're not people that break stories, but when something falls in their wheelhouse, their world, and it's newsworthy, they'll let me know. So I have these sources from years being in the business, and they told me there was a conflict with one of the judges. The indictment's coming down this Friday. So Tuesday of this week, I'm saying this Friday, the mayor's going to be indicted. Those are the rumors. I wish I could verify it with the feds, but there's no one with the feds that's going to verify that for me. And I know a few people. So Tuesday, I'm like, the rumors are strong that the mayor will be indicted this Friday. And the last couple of days, I've been the boy who cries wolf on this show, on social media, all of this. And then today, the mayor was indicted. And that is a good thing in the sense that, first off, Mayor Latoya Cantrell, I don't know how many people out there think she's doing a good job just as a mayor. No criminal activity, just as mayor. She had no criminal activity, just the absentee. I call her Junket Cantrell, always on a trip, never a dollar brought to the city from these trips, never a job. Just they're a vacation. Everybody knows it. It's like, who are you fooling? But she doesn't give a crap. She does it anyway. That's the part. Belligerent, contrarian, just in your face, going to do the opposite, doesn't care. Basically saying, screw you, New Orleans, black, white, gay, straight. If you're a New Orleans citizen, middle finger to you, screw you. That's what the mayor's been saying. So that doesn't help her case. You know, if she was quiet behind the scenes, doing her job, actually working, but just that belligerent attitude obviously doesn't help. And I'm not the kind of person that throws out rumors or rumors saying this, never in my life. But that was the only way I could say it a few weeks ago and then on Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, I'm saying it's going to happen this Friday. And the reason it didn't happen a few weeks ago, there was a conflict of interest with a judge. I get Joe Responti on the show. I text Joe, I hear the mayor could get indicted on Friday. He's like, I'm hearing the same thing. Want to come on the show and discuss? Great. So I bring him on, all via text to get him on, never spoke with him. I asked him about the indictment on Friday. He's like, yeah, look, that's the rumor I'm hearing too. And then he goes on to say, it was supposed to happen a few Fridays ago, but there was a conflict of interest with a judge whose wife worked for a law firm. So he had even more detail than me, but was verifying the same information I was getting from my sources on Tulane and Broad and beyond. So that just made me not double down, but feel very confident about my sources that have never been wrong. So no, the last couple of days, boy, you cried wolf, Corey throwing out rumors. What's that? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I never do this. I never say it. If obviously I have sources, and they ended up being right on the money. Mayor Junket Cantrell indicted today, 18 counts by a federal grand jury, 14 counts of wire fraud, and 1 count each of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, false statements, conspiracy to obstruct justice. A lot of it based around her relationship with former NOPD officer Jeffrey Vappy, how they tried to hide the relationship, maximize their time together on the city's dime. The Fed said, and I quote, exploited their public position to deliver and implement a scheme to defraud the city of New Orleans and the NOPD. Traveling with him out of state and country when protection was not needed, lied under oath to the feds and a grand jury about it, personal correspondence via the WhatsApp app, which is a free encrypted cell phone messaging app, and they got on that over 15,000 texts between them. One of the texts mentioning their Scotland trip they went on together, where it all started, quote, where it all started, their relationship. Martha's Vineyard, Los Angeles, Orlando, San Francisco, D.C., Scotland, United Arab Emirates. The feds mention all of these travels in this 18-count federal indictment. 14 counts of wire fraud and also 4 other counts. I think there's going to be a superseding indictment. There already is one for Vappy. He got indicted last summer. Now, this indictment adds more to Vappy, superseding for him. His indictment is enhanced. Some folks that have already been indicted, like the building inspector, Randy Farrell, Vappy, this Faoud guy, the former boxer that was a big proponent of the mayor, that he had the artwork he claimed got stolen, and he was trying to, defraud the insurance company and got busted. He got indicted. Both Farrell and the Faoud guy, there's public official 1, public official A. It's Latoya Cantrell mentioned in those indictments. Now, I've said this for like the last year because Joe Responti said it, and I think Rafael Goyeneche said it. And these guys know what they're talking about. And besides that, it made perfectly good sense. They've never seen someone get indicted, and then a public official essentially is mentioned in that indictment, and the public official doesn't get indicted as well. So a lot of folks were like, the mayor's indictment's dead. I mean, there were stories a few months ago in the Times-Picayune, some of the television outlets, where's the federal indictment? It appears dead. It's done. A lot of folks that this weird 17 people in the city that like the mayor, or is it 19? I'm sorry. They were all excited about the indictment potentially going away. No, what I think is going to happen, because the mayor's now indicted, if you don't think Randy Farrell and the Faoud guy, their eyebrows are raised and their interest is piqued, they're like, damn, they are going after the mayor. And now the feds are going to double down on Farrell and Faoud and go, guys, you want to be a cooperating witness against the mayor? And we're going to lower the time you go to jail because she's the big fish. And they're going to say, yeah, I would think. And then there'll be a superseding indictment where Farrell and Faoud's quid pro quo will be part of a new indictment, added indictment to the mayor. So I think the indictment of the mayor could get other people, smaller fish that are indicted, rolling over, and maybe even Vappy. Jail time ain't no fun. Who wants to go to jail? Who wants to go to prison? Jail's bad enough, huh? No one wants to go to Tulane and Broad. Who wants to go to prison long term? Now, that's where it looks like this mayor is headed. Some might say some of the wire fraud charges are weak, going to be hard to prove. The cover-up and the obstruction, that seems very obvious and easy. The mayor's attorney, Chastain, very, very capable. She hired him, one of the best defense attorneys in the city. He's also known to settle with a plea to the feds. He's also known to do that when he sees there's no way out. I've looked at every single legal angle. I'm damn good at what I do. You need to plead guilty, take a lesser charge, or it'll be lesser charge by pleading guilty and less jail time. We go to trial, it could be bad for you. So Chastain does that when he sees no win, no good result going to trial, where the better thing for his client is for them to plead guilty. And he's known to do that when that's what he thinks. So it would not surprise me at all. Initially, this mayor, I'm not guilty of any of this. I'm going to fight this, maybe bring up race or sex. She said that before. There's a quote from her, today's age, going after the black woman, going after women, all this, trying to, displace it, project it on something else like she always does, always making excuses, never taking responsibility, pushing the blame on someone else. Now, I think right now she's going to say not guilty. And of course, I'm not resigning. And then I think over time, especially if there's a superseding indictment because of Farrell and Faoud cooperating with the feds, maybe even Vappy, then I think Chastain's like, let's take, they'll reduce the, charges, the counts. They'll reduce the amount of jail time. And if you really want to get more reduced, resign as mayor, and then they'll take off another year. So the mayor, her term ends in January, about 5.5 months. This indictment is huge, and it may get other folks flipping, and then that might ultimately get the mayor pleading guilty and resigning from office before January. We'll see. She's belligerent. She's a contrarian. She is irrational. She appears to have some major personal problems. And she might want to fight this thing, which would be absolutely insane. Mayor Latoya Cantrell indicted today.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Scott Craig of Katie's Restaurant.
All of my ingredients are fresh. Nothing comes out of a can here. Nothing. All of our seafood is Louisiana. All of our vegetables are Louisiana vegetables. It's a neighborhood restaurant.
Katie's in Mid-City.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again. Ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now.
Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
Word is, one of the best restaurants in New Orleans isn't even in New Orleans. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville. Cross the lake and taste what you're missing. Tuesday through Saturday. Gallagher's 527 in Mandeville.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com, your cool spots. TM-AC.com, your cool spots.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes on magazine, as unique as you.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com. Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Greater New Orleans, a destination for learning. With 13 colleges and universities and a booming job market, Greater New Orleans is the ultimate destination for your higher education. Your path to the future begins in Greater New Orleans. Find out more at studynola.com.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City, Corey Johnson back at you. We broadcast live every day from the Buddy Deliberto Total Maintenance Studios. If you need air conditioning help in New Orleans or Baton Rouge, it's August. It's hot as hell out there. If your AC's not working right, you need any kind of AC help in New Orleans or Baton Rouge, think Total Maintenance. TM-AC.com. Total Maintenance. TM-AC.com. A Fantasy Friday edition of the program. No fantasy here. Breaking news earlier this afternoon, about 4 hours ago. Mayor Latoya, Junket, Cantrell, indicted by a federal grand jury. 18-count federal indictment. 14 counts of wire fraud, 1 count each of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, false statements, conspiracy to obstruct justice. The relationship with former NOPD officer Jeffrey Vappy, all over this indictment, trying to hide the relationship, maximizing their time together on the city's dime. The quote from the feds: exploited their public positions to deliver and implement a scheme to defraud the city of New Orleans and the NOPD. Traveling with him out of state, out of the country when protection was not needed. Lied under oath to the feds and a grand jury about it. Personally corresponding, they ended up going on an encrypted messaging app. 15,000 plus texts between the mayor and Vappy. 15,000 on this WhatsApp app, this encrypted app. The Scotland trip they went on, they referenced it in a text where it all started, talking about their relationship. The feds mentioned specific locales like Martha's Vineyard, Los Angeles, Orlando, San Francisco, D.C., Scotland, United Arab Emirates. All unnecessary travel trips where Vappy had joined the mayor, sometimes upgrading to first class seats. About 70,000 plus bucks. So the mayor indicted, Vappy indicted last summer. It's a superseding indictment for him, like added charges. I think the mayor being indicted sends out a message to others indicted, like Randy Farrell, the building inspector, the Faoud guy, the guy trying to, do the art scheme with the insurance company that got busted. That was a big proponent of the mayor. Supposedly giving her like Saints tickets, cell phone, things of value, Commander's Palace, meal. Now you go, these are petty things. I agree. The mayor's petty. But when you add them all up, it's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, I think the mayor being indicted might get Randy Farrell, this Faoud guy, maybe even Vappy flipping. Vappy, by the way, these people aren't hiring these TV attorneys, huh? When what's hitting the fan, even these deviants, the mayor and Vappy, even these deviants, they're not hiring these TV jokers. They ain't getting hiring Morris Bart or Dudley DeBosier. They need real help. Chastain, who the mayor hired, one of the best defense attorneys in the area. Harry Rosenberg, I don't know about you, but former Eastern District U.S. attorney, just ridiculously intelligent, passionate about the law, knows it backwards and forwards, a great judge, a great attorney. If I had any problems, I was in trouble with the law, I'd hire Harry Rosenberg in a second. He'd be my choice. So Vappy knows what he's doing in that regard, and the mayor knows what she's doing hiring Chastain. Also, Chastain has a reputation that, he's a smart attorney like Harry Rosenberg. If going to trial just the odds are it's going to be worse for my client than pleading guilty. I'm going to have my client plead guilty. I'm going to talk to them about pleading guilty. And I think if we, first off, the 18 count indictment's bad enough, especially the cover up and the obstruction part. I think a lot of the wire fraud will stick. But I think if these other indicted co-conspirators flip on the mayor and go, to the prosecution side, then I think, and there's a superseding indictment, more counts than the 18 on the mayor. I think Chastain will be like, Mayor, I'm not going to win in court. Plead guilty. That'll lessen the charges, the counts, the time you'll have to go to jail. They're going to cut you slack for not having to go to trial. And if you resign as mayor, that's another card you can throw on the table. That might get you out of 8 months or 12 months. I'm just making up these numbers. But I mentioned Bill Jefferson. He was a 9-time congressman, U.S. congressman. He overlooked Joseph Gow in New Orleans East and one of the biggest upsets in New Orleans history, like the Battle of New Orleans, like getting an NBA team out of Charlotte, like that level, like a huge upset. Joseph Gow beats Bill Jefferson. So Bill Jefferson gets ousted from office as a congressman, and then he gets indicted. So he didn't have that card to play. The feds would have reduced the charges and the jail time by having a sitting congressman resign. That's a win for the feds. Hey, we want him to go to jail, and we want him to do, pay these fines. And boy, if we can get him to resign from office, that's a huge plus for us. But Bill Jefferson lost in the election, so he didn't have that card to play. The mayor has that card to play. Resigning from office could cut jail time. The feds would look at that as a win. So we'll see. Because I think right away, the first we hear from the mayor, I'm not guilty. I'm fighting these charges. These are ridiculous. And then I think as time goes on and her attorneys get to absorb this 18-count federal indictment, maybe some of these co-conspirators flip. And then the mayor is like talking to her attorney, and it ain't going to go good at trial. Let's plead guilty. And if you resign, you'll get less jail time. But no, right away, the mayor's going to deny any of this. She's going to say she's not guilty. And someone, I would think, is going to say, are you going to resign? And she's going to be like, of course I'm not resigning. Of course I'm not resigning. Huge story today. On Tuesday, we talked about it. Rumors swirling around Tulane and Broad. The mayor could be indicted this Friday. I caught flack on this show, caught flack on social media. As I've often said, what these folks don't get is I don't give a crap what they think, It's part of the game. Folks are going to like you. Folks are not going to dislike you. I could hand someone a gold brick and they might complain about it. So I wasn't concerned about the criticism in the least bit. But I never say rumors. I never say sources, but this was the one time where I had multiple sources from Tulane and Broad telling me a few weeks ago and then saying it was going to happen 2 Fridays ago, but there was a conflict with the judge. Joe Responti confirmed that on Tuesday of this week. So I checked with multiple sources and they were like, this is the day. And Blue Boy was not one of the sources, although Blue Boy, I trust you unequivocally. Kind of a catch-22, huh, Blue Boy? Good for the citizens of New Orleans. A deviant politician is indicted. Bad on a national level because it kind of enhances the rep we already have as sort of a crazy political environment in New Orleans and Louisiana. Blue Boy, you're a genius. Have a great weekend. See you Monday. More on the mayor indicted.
With Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
It's 6 p.m.